The Canucks' critical road trip rolls on from the Show Me State to Nash Vegas after a commanding 4-1 win last night to kick it off in St. Louis.
Matthias Stieg scores!
Vancouver looks to maintain its playoff position while trying to avoid the season sweep at the hands of the Predators. Dubbed the Assassin by teammates, Radim Vrbata looks to keep his hot hand going tonight.
Vrbata shoots, scores!
Can Vancouver secure a much-needed 2 points? It's the Canucks and Predators right now. If you've never been to Nashville, it should be a bucket list entry, but the Canucks got in late last night. Will leave after the game tonight. There is no time to party. It is all about business at this time of year. The second best home record in the NHL belongs to Roman Josi and the Nashville Predators. The third best road record in the NHL belongs to Eddie Lack and the Vancouver Canucks. And we all know what's at stake, particularly for the Canucks. Nashville jockeying for position. The Canucks trying to solidify their spot. I'm Brad Fay. Welcome to another night of Canucks hockey on Sportsnet. Rich Sutter and Doug MacLean are standing by, but we go right to Bridgestone Arena where Dan Murphy is on location with another big night for Vancouver. Dan.
Yes, Brad. Doesn't it seem like every time the Canucks have had a chance to create a little breathing room between themselves and the Flames, the Kings, they've stubbed their toe? They got another chance tonight playing their game in hand on Calgary with the win to go 4 points up. And yes, they hold the tiebreaker. Much talk about Radim Vrbata this past month, and good reason. 18 points in March, and now his line mates are coming along for the ride. Chris Higgins, 4 points his last 4 games. Nick Badino, 3 goals in his last 6 games. And as for the Predators, still in the conversation for the President's Trophy. Many reasons for that, but one of the biggest, Pekka Rinne. Bounce back season, missed 51 games last year, hip surgery, bacterial infection. No one has more wins than his 41 this season, and now he's trying to help the Predators sweep the season series with the Canucks. Brad?
All right, here are the aforementioned Doug MacLean and Rich Sutter. It's a great time of year, and now Eddie Lack going back-to-back to something that Willie Desjardins did not want to do early in the year, but now his hand's really forced because Ryan Miller no longer available.
Well, Willie and a lot of other coaches didn't want it because of the analytics community, and all of a sudden, this is only Eddie Lack's third back-to-back. He's 1-0-1, no choice. I mean, you've got to go with your guy, and good move by Willie. Again, I love the way he's handled his goaltending, even when Miller was there. So, you know, kudos to him, and Lack, hey, you can't be tired this time of year. Sorry, fight through it and get the team a win.
Knowing what's at stake, the playoffs begin 2 weeks tomorrow. It's that quick. And for the Nashville Predators, Rich, who have known they're going to be in the playoffs for a long, long time, still have something to play for because they know who they may have to play. Chicago, if they don't play their cards right.
Well, absolutely they do, and the biggest thing is for them, you know, as much as they're wanting to win and jockey for position and get to where they want to be, at least get home ice in that first round, it's huge for them. And then look at the Canucks on the other hand too, Brad. It's also important for them. They're one step closer tonight if they can get a big win to punch in their ticket.
Yep.
Guys, this wild card is so bizarre. I mean, just think about it. If the LA Kings get in to the last wild card spot, defending Stanley Cup champions, and what do you get for finishing first overall? You play the LA Kings in the first round.
It could be President's Trophy versus Stanley Cup champions in the first round, which is unbelievable. Anybody better right now on a monthly basis than in the world than Radim Vrbata, the way he's playing.
Yeah, he's been terrific. But look, he's been like that since day one. I mean, I think it's the best off-season signing by any team. And it was meant to be the Sedins and him. And what really was critical is when they were struggling with their secondary scoring, he moves down and doesn't miss a beat. He doesn't need the Sedins to be good. He's been that important.
Well, and the biggest thing for me is what he's done this year is just not his 31 goals. It's been, for me, is the first time that I've seen more so in his whole career has been his consistency night after night. If he's not scoring goals, he's making plays. He's always making something happen. He's been a big part of the club on a nightly basis.
Quiet leader.
Yep, 18 points in the month with the last night of the month tonight. Obviously, that's 5 more than he's ever had in any month. Puck drop when we return on Sportsnet in Nashville. Just moments away from face-off. No changes in the Canuck lineup from a night ago, but Nashville continues to be banged up, Rich.
4 important guys are their line tonight. Weber, Neal, Cullen, and Nystrom.
Key components for the Nashville Predators, Doug, they have to overcome at this time of year.
Yeah, and yet you still look at that back end and you say that's still a pretty good defense and a pretty good goaltender in Pekka Rinne. Not an easy team to beat, even banged up.
Rinne and Lack is the matchup in goal. John Shorthouse and John Garrett have the call for you from the Music City as the sun begins to set on this night and the National Hockey League season to Bridgestone Arena on Sportsnet.
Yes, Brad, thank you. The final game of the month of March on the last day of the month, and the Canucks looking to make it 2 big wins in a row and improve their record in back-to-backs. This is the last of their 12 back-to-back situations this season. They're 3-6-2 in the second game. Eddie Lack stopped 23 as we check out the starting goalies for Tim Hortons, the official coffee of the NHL. He stopped 23 in last night's 4-1 win in St. Louis. He's right back in tonight. The Canucks final back-to-back as mentioned. And for Nashville, Vezina Trophy candidate Pekka Rinne looks for win number 42. He's tied with Carey Price in that category and top 5 in both save percentage and goals against average. We've talked a lot about Roman Josi, and he'll be counted on tonight with Shea Weber still out of the lineup, 3rd in defense scoring in the NHL. And Chris Tanev, 4 assists in his last 2 games. He starts on the blue line with Alex Edler, the Sedins and Burrows up front, and trying to move the puck into the Nashville zone, but it's chopped the other way by Taylor Beck, and an early icing call stops play just 11 seconds in.
Doug MacLean was talking about Willie Desjardins and his goaltending choice. It makes it a lot easier the way the Canucks played against St. Louis last night. They only gave up 14 shots in the last 2 periods. They really shut the Blues down, and Eddie Lack had a relatively easy night.
Lack up to 15 wins on the season, 4 above 500. As the puck escapes the Nashville zone and the Canucks control at their own blue line, Alex Edler starts up ice. Edler gains center, dumps the puck in. Nick Bonino on the forecheck. He's got goals in back-to-back games. Puck sent to the blue line, held in by Verbata. Bonino from the corner. Chris Higgins, the 3rd member of this forward line, as Bonino is checked in the corner by Seth Jones. Puck still deep in the Nashville end. Josi comes up with it, and he'll start from behind his goal, feeding one ahead, out of the reach of Yannick Weber. And this will be another icing call for a face-off in the Predator zone.
Some anxious moments. The last time the Canucks played the Predators in this building, it was back on January 13th. Chris Higgins drives to the net. Volchenkov takes him out and takes out Pekka Rinne as well. Rinne would have to leave the game. In came Carter Hutton, but the Canucks were unable to solve him and ended up dropping a 5-1 decision.
Had a power play when Hutton came in, John, and couldn't get a shot.
Never got a shot on goal, and Rinne missed 8 games after that.
Craig Smith with the puck at center, advances it over the Vancouver blue line. Gabriel Bourque after the puck in the corner. Poked away from him. Daniel Sedin couldn't move it out. Here's Dan Hamhuis, the former Predator, checked in the corner by Paul Gaustad. Gaustad up with the puck, tips it around to the far side. Bourque for Gaustad, got by him. Daniel Sedin slides the puck to center. And it's intercepted by Matthias Ekholm. He's checked by Alex Burrows. Canucks move in. Henrik Sedin towards the goalie. Shoots, stopped by Rinne, and he hangs on the first shot of the game.
Almost a 2-on-1. Alex Burrows couldn't take that pass cleanly. Ekholm coughs it up at the blue line, and Henrik Sedin gets a chance, but it's a bad angle. Rinne over. No problem with that one.
That line takes a seat. Bo Horvat comes out with line mates Ronald Kennens and Yannick Hansen for the face-off in the Nashville zone. Puck to the sideboards. Hansen gets it back to the exit towards the goal. Knocked down by Mike Fisher. He works the puck to Colin Wilson, who sends it out. Hansen tried to drive it back in. That was blocked, and now the puck is sent into the Vancouver zone for, you guessed it, another icing whistle.
Peter Laviolette, like Willie Desjardins, uses 4 lines. His 4th line is averaging almost 12 minutes a game. It has worked very well. They've got contributions from everybody. Mike Ribeiro is leading the team in scoring with 60 points, but Mike Fisher has played very well since he's been back. And they've got some depth. They've got 7 guys with 15 goals or more.
Fisher stays out with Colin Wilson and Victor Arvidsson, the young winger. Predators work the puck to the Vancouver line. Here's Arvidsson across to Fisher. In behind, Wilson after the puck comes up with it. Pass for Fisher, comes all the way to the line. Ryan Ellis tried a shot, went off the heel of his stick. Now the puck thrown forward for Kennens out of his reach, and it's an icing call against Vancouver in this game of fits and starts.
Yes. Bridgestone Arena is an odd sort of building, different dressing rooms, different sort of seating, and the Nashville Predators doing very well at home. It's hard to come in here and play. They got off to such a great start. Pecorini has been good, and they've just continued to roll.
Canucks amongst the best away from home. And came up with a big win in St. Louis last night. Here's Stallberg. Back to the line. Long shot by Cody Franson. Deflects to the corner. Stallberg onto the puck again. Bo Horvat trying to stay with him. Victor Stallberg works the puck to Ekholm. Now Mike Santorelli's onto it. Ekholm checked along the boards. Puck held in by Calle Jarnkrok. Now it's loose behind the Vancouver goal. Horvat tips it near side. We have an injured Predator. Down is Stallberg. There's a Vancouver penalty coming up, and Stallberg still laying in the corner after a collision deep in the Vancouver zone.
Kevin Bieksa is looking down at Stallberg.
Can't say I saw what happened, but he went down.
Stallberg and Bo Horvat, and here comes Bieksa. Comes across and gets Stallberg. It could be called interference. Puck was already in the corner, and
it's a check to the head against Kevin Bieksa. And Stallberg just now onto his feet and working his way back to the Nashville bench.
Victor Stallberg was sent to the minors earlier in the season. He's played 9 of the last 10 games, and he does get blindsided by Kevin Bieksa. The league will look at it because they did call it a check to the head.
First power play of the game goes to Nashville. Predators set up in the Vancouver zone. Jones to Mike Ribeiro. Top of the circle. Looking for someone to pass to. Drives one towards the goal. That hit the side of the net after Lack got a piece of it. Chris Higgins has after the loose puck. It comes loose to Edler. Drives it around the near side. Held in by Jones. Edler intercepts in the corner, and this time gets it to the line, but again held in by Jones. Here's Ribeiro. Across for Ellis. He slides back to the left point. Dumps one around for Mike Ribeiro. Across to Ellis. Slaps a rolling puck. He missed on the short side. Minute 15 to go in the penalty to be exit. Ribeiro controlling again on the near boards. Back to Jones. Here's Ribeiro. Being watched by Edler. Passes to the side to Bork. His feed in front, intercepted by Higgins, who can't get the puck out. Tanev is after it for Vancouver. Checked by Bork. Now Edler on the backhand. Bumped by Smith in the corner. Now he puts his skate on the puck to try to kill some more time. Under a minute to go in the Nashville power play. And the Canucks working feverishly to get the puck out. They send it in front to Bonino, who's able to wrist it all the way down the ice. 35 seconds to go on the Bieksa penalty. Yossi brings the puck to center. Drop pass. Now Philip Forsberg struggled to take that pass. He's able to turn and get the puck in. Yannick Weber brings it to the near side. Predators take it away. Fisher digging for the puck. Tried to get it to the line. Sean Mathias working to move it out. Can't do it. Here's Colin Wilson. Pass to Forsberg. Checked by Weber. Fisher takes the puck back. Long shot. Score! I don't know if Wilson tipped it. A long shot by Cody Franson, and a power play goal makes it 1-0.
And you can see from Eddie Lack's reaction, he just didn't pick it up. Shot from the point. Cody Franson, and you can see Franson just takes this puck and wrists it.
Looked like he had a look at it.
I don't think Colin Wilson tipped it. He just didn't get his leg down. I think he was anticipating a Wilson tip.
Perhaps. 4:30, the time of the power play goal. And the Predators do what most teams have done in the last couple of months. Canucks were able to get the first goal last night in St. Louis. But it's the Predators who jump on top in this one. And Cody Franson has his first since rejoining the Predators from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Kennan's missed that pass. Here's a chance for Jones. Kennan skated right by him. Jones with a shot. Stopped by Lack. Rebound to Dorsett. And the Canucks break to center. Derek Dorsett in over the Nashville line on the right wing. Dorsett sends one on goal. Stopped by Rene. Rebound. Kennan's couldn't get it on goal on the backhand. And the Predators come back to center. Yossi over the Vancouver line, and he brought it back out as he moved in. Offside the call. Fans don't like it. We'll check in with Murph.
Guys, there's Cody Franson, traded from the Leafs to Nashville, and the team struggled when he got here, and so did he. He said it was the third system he'd been under all year, Carlisle, and then Horacek, and now Laviolette. He says now it's being instinctual. The one thing that helped, he's a former Predator, he knew the city. The management, of course, came over with Mike Santorelli, who was his roommate first year as a pro in Milwaukee.
Makes the transition a lot easier.
Seth Jones with the puck deep in his own end. And he banks it around to Roman Yossi behind the goal. It's his 7th of the year, Franson, his first here in Nashville. And the puck is out of play at the Vancouver bench for a face-off in the neutral zone.
Canucks Hockey. Brought to you by Subway. Build your own comfort at Subway with a heartwarming hand-melted tomato basil soup combo. Subway, eat fresh.
Penalty killers were doing a very good job. There was only a couple seconds left in the Kevin Bieksa penalty, and that harmless-looking shot found its way to the back of the net.
Here's a turnover by Tanev, who's able to recover and poke the puck to Edler. Eddie Lack gave up a tough one last time in this building to Philip Forsberg off the right wing boards. Forsberg trying to move the puck into the Vancouver zone. Bonino gets it, slides it back to Alex Edler. Edler to Tanev at center. He sends a long one in. Reaching up is Rene to grab the puck, and he drops it down for Franson. Puck sent to center. Forsberg trying to move it on Tanev, who takes it away and dishes on the backhand to Edler. Quickly ahead for Higgins. Moving in with Bonino. Higgins with a drop pass. Bonino with a shot. Gloved by Rene. And he hangs on for the whistle. Predators have the opening goal. 6.5 in, and it's 1-0.
This period brought to you by the bold new 2015 Toyota Camry. One bold choice leads to another.
More hockey to come. Game 4 of the WHL Eastern Conference quarterfinals. John Quenneville and the Brandon Wheat Kings battle Canuck draft pick Ashton Sautner and the Edmonton Oil Kings. Tonight at 7 on Sportsnet East, Ontario, and West. 1-0 Nashville in this one, as Jannik Hansen lines up next to Bo Horvat for this face-off in the Predator zone. Hansen winds up with the puck, dishes it back to Lucas Spiza. Hansen down the boards for Horvat in the corner. Onto the puck is Ronald Kennins, hit hard by Volchenkov, and the Predators have 3 over the Vancouver line. Ellis checked from behind by Hansen, and the puck knocked away, brought out by Horvat. Canucks bring 4 to center. Horvat in on the left wing. Looks in front, tries a shot, stopped by Rene, and he covers in the crease with no rebound for Jannik Hansen.
The Canucks with a forward back for the Predators ended up with a 3-on-2 and don't take advantage. Pekka Rinne makes that save look easy. Bo Horvat was trying for the shot and the rebound, but Rinne got down low, blocked it with his glove.
I called Ashton Sautner a Canuck draft pick. He was a free agent signing. I like to be correct.
Yes.
Spirit of accuracy. Face off in the Predator zone. Lyndon Vey on the draw. Yarncroc won it, but Dorsett goes after the puck in the corner. Back comes Victor Stahlberg for the puck. Matthias steps into him. Vey trying to hold it in on the far side. Rinne out of his net. Now Franson plays the puck ahead. It's by hand use, and here comes Yarncroc. He overskated the puck, but is able to feed it back to Ekholm. Leads to the blue line. Now here's Yarncroc. Cutting right. Shoots. Lack sliding to his left. Made the save. Another chance at the side, and the shot was fanned on as Matthias did a good job to tie up Stahlberg. Good to see Stahlberg back out there after being shaken up on the hit from Kevin Bieksa. Here's Franson to the net. Stopped by Lack, and Sean Matthias picks up the loose puck. Now Matthias slashes at the stick of Stahlberg, who feeds back into his own zone. Nearing the 8-minute mark, first period, 1-0 Predators. Ekholm sends the puck in off Tanev. Here's Gabriel Bourque for Nashville. Round the net, passing to the side. Burrows intercepts, and he backhands the puck to center. After it is Daniel Sedin. Josi chops it away, but Henrik follows up for the Canucks. Works his way to the corner. Henrik Sedin around for Daniel. Here comes Edler from the left point, sending one towards the goal. That ricochet to the corner. Chance for Beck to get a breakaway. Taylor Beck in on Lack. Shoots. He scores. Canucks got caught, and Taylor Beck makes it 2-0 Nashville.
Well, the Canucks got caught because Alex Edler's shot goes completely to the corner. He's just trying to throw it at the net, and he misses, and it's off the corner boards, and Beck is in behind him. Gets the shot and squeaks it through Eddie Lack. And you can see here comes Edler. After he shot it off the corner boards, Predators took advantage, and Beck finds a way to score in the breakaway.
So the quick start for the Predators. And the Canucks playing on consecutive nights in an early 2-0 hole. Bieksa dumps the puck in from neutral ice. Rinne shoots it around, can't get it by Higgins. Jones will try the other side. Here's Philip Forsberg feeding back to Roman Josi. He works his way to center. Gets around Vrbata. Bieksa stepped up. Josi saw him coming, through on the brakes and tapped the puck in. Here's Lucas Spiza around for Kevin Bieksa. Josi moves up to try to check him. Bieksa gets the puck to center. Jones dumps it back in. Bieksa punches it down and skates to neutral ice. He's checked. Craig Smith turns back for Nashville. Wilson's off the bench. He's in. He shoots, and Lack came out and got a piece of that. Colin Wilson jumped onto the ice and wound up with a pretty good scoring chance, looking for a third Nashville goal. Fisher can't get it in deep, but now he follows up right up the gut. Dishes off. Shot by Arvidsson, and I think that went off the head of Lack yet again, with the puck ricocheting out of play.
You see the look on Eddie Lack's face, like he's hitting the head again. Here's the shot by Beck, and Eddie thinks he's got it. It's off the bottom of his glove. And there is another shot. It's off the left temple of Eddie's mask.
It's part of his repertoire now.
Oh, man.
Whatever it takes.
He had to switch masks for a little while last night in St. Louis after he took one.
Dan Hamhuis almost stick-handled his way into trouble. Horvat able to get the puck outside the line. Volchenkov taps it ahead. It's onto the stick of Jannik Hansen. Hansen into Nashville territory. Here's Kennins. Horvat with a shot, that went off his stick and wide. Arvidsson plays the puck back. Volchenkov hit by Hansen. And here comes Fisher. Volchenkov shaken up a bit after that hit, retrieving his stick, and he'll head right to the Nashville bench. As the whistle blows at the halfway mark of the first, here's Murph.
Well, don't forget about Safeway's $1 million score and win. If any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Sharon Moore of Richmond could win $1 million. Shop at Safeway, and you could be our next lucky winner.
It's been a tough week for Murph. We feel for him. We support him with news that Zayn has officially left One Direction.
Oh, man.
We bring that up being in Music City, USA.
How heartbreaking.
Hey! Mike Santorelli shoots the puck in from center. Gets it by Eddie Lack. Now from the blue line. Ekholm, long shot off the shoulder of Lack. And puck onto the stick of Santorelli. Back to Ekholm. Franson to the right point. Stretches it out to Ekholm. Another shot. Blocked in front. Puck trickles through to Lack, and he's able to cover up. Dorsett into it on the whistle. Gloves are off. His are anyway. Stolberg is the Nashville player.
Boy, Stolberg gave Dorsett a real shot. They're both going to go.
It's been a busy period at the Vancouver end of the ice. It'll probably be 4-on-4 when we come back to Nashville.
I thought Victor Stolberg might get an extra 2 minutes out of this because he really went at Derek Dorsett with the stick to start this. Okay, there's the stick, and the high stick right in Dorsett's face.
Both off, 4-on-4 in a 2-0 game favoring the Nashville Predators, who've been dynamite at home this season. Good matchup in that regard. Canucks, one of the best road teams in the NHL, but an uphill climb in this one. And the Predators still licking their wounds after the home ice loss to Calgary. Edler's out there with Tanev. Sedin's up front. Josi and Jones for Nashville. Wilson up front with Fisher. As the Twins move the puck towards the goal, Josi takes it away from Rinne and starts out. Wilson through center. Had 4 points when these teams last met in this building. 2 goals, 2 assists, and a lopsided win for the Predators. Edler digs the puck free and passes to Tanev. Up to center, Henrik Sedin helps the puck along for Daniel. Tried to drop it for Henrik. Josi intercepts, and Canucks are changing as he passes ahead to Fisher. Drop feed. Josi stops. Works his way to the line. Jones dumps one in around. Here's Smith. Fisher has stayed out. Wilson changed. Now Verbata racing after the puck. Fights off a hook. Gets in with a wrist shot. Blocked by Josi. Banks it back. Spiza, lots of room. Over to Verbata. Wrist one off the blocker of Rinne. And Verbata's onto the puck once more. Jones able to tap it away from him and around for Roman Josi. 45 seconds to go in the 4-on-4. Just over 8 minutes left, first period. 2-0 Nashville. Jones at the end of his shift. Rushes in with a pass to Ribeiro. He throws one across, and Smith's shot is off the stick of Sean Mathias and out of play.
Oh boy, Mike Ribeiro has really had a rebirthing season here. Rejuvenated his game.
That sounded painful.
It did. Here's Mike Ribeiro. He's so good. Look at this pass. There's hardly any room at all to get that across, and Ribeiro is able to find the spot and get it across. All sorts of problems in Phoenix, and good sign. Good second chance for Mike Ribeiro.
A rebirth.
Yeah.
Rebirthing.
Yes.
He's still out there, along with Forsberg, who trails only Johnny Gaudreau in rookie scoring. Dying seconds of the 4-on-4. Hansen stick handling in his own blue line. Tried to dump one across. Predators intercepted center as the penalized players step onto the ice. Hansen hit Ekholm, but Forsberg has the puck. Stick handling his way in. Stallberg puts it towards the goal. Knocked away by Lack. Here's Ribeiro to the line. Ellis broke his stick. Forsberg's onto the puck once more. Pass picked off by Mathias. He gets it ahead to Dorsett. 2-on-1 with Mathias. Mathias trying to move in, and Jones took the puck away from him. Dorsett hits Jones as Ribeiro passes it center to Forsberg, and he'll start a change by playing the puck in off the glass. 7 minutes left, first period. Dorsett rink wide. Mathias plays the puck into Nashville territory. Josi's back, being watched by Lyndon Vay. He banks the puck to Calle Jarnkrok, who delays before throwing one across to Josi. Lots of room to move through center. In on the right wing. Round Edler. Centers the puck through the crease and out the other side. Burrows gets it to Henrik Sedin, and he skates to center with Daniel. Daniel takes the pass on the left wing. Low shot stopped by Rinne. And he hangs on for the whistle as we check in with Murph.
John Chevrolet is committed to safety on the roads as well as on the ice. To find out more about the Chevrolet Safe and Fun Hockey program, please log on to safeandfunhockey.ca.
Pekka Rinne, for a big goaltender, does that a lot. He does it very well. Gets down really low and gets the catching glove on all those shots that the only reason the guy shoots it from where he shoots it is trying to get a rebound, use it as a backboard, and Rinne is very good at getting that catching glove down.
Canucks win the face-off, but the pass for Verbata is intercepted by Franson, who gets the puck ahead to Beck. Those two, the goal scorers in this game so far. Beck doubling the lead on a breakaway after Franson opened the scoring on a long shot on the power play. Here's Ekholm putting one on goal. Trying to tip it was Bork. Beck from the corner. Works his way up the boards. Now cycles down for Gabriel Bork. He actually gave him a little shot in the back, but Bork's onto the puck. Fires it back. Beck with a shot wide of the goal. Gaustad hustles to the loose puck. Behind the net for Bork. Comes out the near side. Taps it past Verbata. Picks up the puck himself. Tried to feed it across, and that was blocked by Higgins. The puck deflects to center. Under 6 minutes to go in the first. Beck is bodied by Spiza as he moves in. Wilson and Weber battle for the puck. Horvat comes up with it. Hansen can't move it out. Here's a chance for Ellis. Weber got in his way. Spiza picks up a loose puck. And now dumps it back for Weber. Spees at the end of his shift would like to get to the bench. Weber isn't going to let him, though. That's an icing call, and the face-off comes back into the Vancouver zone.
Get ready for game time with over 100 menu items. Order now at bostonpizza.com for delivery.
Willie Desjardins shaking his head as that was an unnecessary icing.
And the Predators control off the draw. Volchenkov tries a shot. Puck is loose. And unable to get a shot away was Ribeiro. Then he put it between the legs and tried to flip it up high. But a little bit off the mark. And again, the Canucks iced the puck after Mike Ribeiro tried a little wizardry in close.
Boy, oh boy. And you can see Eddie Lack, just the body language here as his team is under siege. The Predators go to the net hard. Mike Ribeiro pulls it back. He's behind the goal line. And as you say, that would have been one of the highlight reel ones. Bo Horvat got away with a hook on Ribeiro.
Do we still call that the Merrick Malik?
The Merrick Malik, yes. That was so good in famous shootout.
Canucks get the puck off the draw. And Spiza has been out there forever. Launches a long one right on Rinaldo, so no icing this time. And there'll be a face-off in the Nashville zone when we return to the Music City. 4:57 to go in the first. Predators lead the Canucks 2-0.
Now the Canucks on this road trip without Zach Kassian, Brad Richardson, both injured, as well as Ryan Miller. And if there's one thing about Ryan Miller's injury and the timing of it that was good, is home for the birth of his child, son Bodie, and there's Noreen from her Instagram account last night, taking in the game, getting to be around for his son's first few weeks, first month, and helping mom out. Cheech, I know you weren't able to do that.
No. Back in the day, my daughter Krista, whose birthday was just recently, I got to wish her a happy birthday now, but
there you go.
A few days ago. But I missed her birthday. Back then, you weren't allowed to stay, and we were on the road in March, and my mother-in-law saw her for 2 weeks while we were on a road trip before I saw my darling daughter.
She loves you nonetheless.
She still brings it up. That's the sad part. It's still a sore point. Yeah, you weren't even there when I was born.
Offside Nashville after that wonderful imitation by Daddy John.
Yes, Daddy John. Yes, well, you're always traveling. How many birthdays have you missed? Yeah, you weren't even there when I was born.
Wow.
Yes.
You know, there's a couch right here if you want to lie down.
Yes.
Get through this.
Alex Burrows knows all about it. He's got a couple of little kids.
Mike Santorelli lined up opposite Sean Mathias outside the Vancouver blue line. As Vey takes the face-off, Santorelli plays the puck forward. Hamhuis able to get it over to Chris Tanev. So the defenseman has juggled a bit as Rinne had trouble with that puck at the side. Lost it at his feet momentarily, but able to fall on it and get the whistle.
Oh, there's Pekka Rinne had some problems with that one off the corner boards. Gordie Howe's 87th birthday, and I had the good fortune of being a teammate with Gordie on his last year in the NHL, his early 50s. There he is, playing with the Hartford Whalers, and there I am, throwing him a pass. I did get an assist on his last NHL goal that they never credited for me. Gordie's doing much better. We can pass that along.
So we saw Hamhuis with Tanev. Now it's Edler and Weber on defense for the Canucks. Doug Lidstrom making a few adjustments. Here's Victor Arvidsson into the Vancouver zone. Mathias was covering for Edler, able to break that up. But the puck stays in Vancouver territory. Arvidsson behind the net, knocked away by Weber. Gets the puck to Vey, and he finds Sean Mathias, who opened the scoring in St. Louis last night. Dorsett after the puck. Deep in the Nashville zone. 4 minutes to go in the first.
Let's go. It's loose. No whistle. Move it out. Kick it out.
The voice of Mark Schwanette.
It's loose. Move it out.
It's not loose, Mark. Now it is.
And it's out of play, and that'll be a penalty. Mike Fisher wished it was still stuck along the boards as he skates off.
Mike Fisher's just trying to play it off the glass and get it out. Catches it in the hook and his stick. It's over the glass and out. Got lots of time. just got underneath it.
Canucks to the power play, brought to you by Subway. Build your own comfort at Subway with a heartwarming ham melt and tomato basil soup combo. Subway, eat fresh. Predators scored on their power play with Bieksa off for a check to the head on Stallberg. And that ended an 0 for 9 drive for the Predators. Canucks will try to answer that, get on the board here, cut the lead in half late in period 1. There's a minute 40 to go in the penalty to Fisher for delay of game. Edler fakes the shoot in, drops to Henrik Sedin, works his way to the left, passes to Daniel. Now Henrik around for Radomir Bata. He reverses to Daniel Sedin. Had trouble collecting that puck, but he throws it around to Henrik. Blue line feed Weber. Left point Edler. Takes a look. Wrist shot gloved by Rinnick. Daniel was there hoping for the deflection, but couldn't get his stick on the puck.
As you say, John, Daniel was looking for the deflection, not the screen. And Pekka Rinne had no problems. Here's Daniel. Now he's trying to screen there, but now look at the side. He's going for the deflection instead of the screen, and Pekka Rinne, no problems grabbing that one.
Second unit comes out with a minute 16 to go in the Fisher minor. Just under 3 minutes left, first period. Bonino wins the draw back to Tanev. Chris Higgins on the left side, rink wide. Hamhuis had to take it off his skate. Now he tries to feed back to Tanev, who had to skate to that pass. Ekholm intercepts. He's checked along the boards, and the Canucks come up with a puck, but Hamhuis bobbles it and is shot down the ice. Valuable time killed there. And there's under a minute to go in the Vancouver power play. Hamhuis to Higgins. He stood up by Franson. And that allows Ekholm to backhand the puck down on Eddie Lack. Here comes Hamhuis slowly to center. Pass to Henrik Sedin. And as the first unit, part of it has made its way back out. Hamhuis is in, trying to dump one around. Rinne alertly came out to cut that one off. He shoots the puck around the glass, and it escapes the zone, chasing after to Santorelli. Hamhuis over to check him. Santorelli gets the puck, and he's stopped by Lack as he tried to beat him under the blocker side. Tough shift for Dan Hamhuis. Here's Henrik Sedin passing one across. Daniel has Henrik in front, and the puck bounced past him. After the Predator got his stick on it, that was Järnkrok. Penalty's over. Canucks 0 for 1 with a man advantage. Managed one shot and continue to trail 2-0. Ryan Ellis waiting. Predators completing a change. Puck thrown forward. Wilson moves in on Bieksa. Puts one in front. That's off a Canucks stick, and the puck goes out of play in the corner to the left of Eddie Lack.
Well, Dan Hamhuis on that shift on the power play is at the very end of this shift, and Santorelli's up the middle. Dan's got the angle on Santorelli, but Santorelli with his speed goes by him, and Eddie Lack very uncomfortably makes the save.
Face off to his right, minute 11 to go in the first period. Puck comes in front. Bieksa was there to get it out, and the other number 3, Seth Jones, tracks it down in his own end.
Very warm here in Nashville today, and you can tell the ice is not the greatest.
I'd almost say it was hot in Nashville today. I don't mean to split hairs.
Yes.
Here's Mike Fisher moving in, final minute, first period. Arvidsson trying to return the puck to him, but it's off a stick and over the glass for a whistle.
This period brought to you by the bold new 2015 Toyota Camry. One bold choice leads to another.
Willie Desjardins back to the drawing board after this period. The shots are 11-7, but I would say the chances would be maybe 5-1 if you can pick out a good Canuck chance.
I'll work on that.
Yes, you're looking at me like, oh, I can't really remember one.
Canucks have shown the capacity to come back. 18 wins when giving up the opening goal, is third best in the NHL. Down 2-0 in this one. Here's Vane. Had a chance at the side, elected to turn back. Now he fires to Tanev, who tried a shot. That one bounces wide of the goal. Tanev after the puck again. Forsberg steps in front of him, and the Predators, 4 of them to center with 10 seconds to go, but Hamhuis breaks that up and gets the puck out. Hamhuis brings it to center. Tips it forward, and that'll do it for period 1. Not before Hamhuis and Forsberg exchange some slashes in front of the Nashville bench. Tough start for the Canucks. Cody Franson with his first since returning to Nashville on a power play. And then Taylor Beck on a breakaway. 2-0 Predators as we send it back to Brad Fay, Doug McLean, and Rich Sutter. Tough first period for the Canucks on the scoreboard as we get set for period 2 here at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. Our perch is, well, behind the top row. We are the top row here in Nashville. Had you offered the Canucks a split in St. Louis and Nashville heading into this trip, probably would have taken those odds. But a chance to come back here, still 2 periods to go, and try to get something more than that after winning a big one in St. Louis.
Well, that's it. And the first period was not a very good period for them. They took the penalty, and the guys were talking about it back there, and you set the tone. And I think that's Nashville comes hard. They go to the net hard, and when they scored in the power play, and then you get a bonus breakaway goal from somebody that you don't expect to score, it gives you even more of a lift.
Trip doesn't get all that much easier when you consider the United Center, and then, boy, it's the MTS Center is going to be rocking Saturday afternoon.
Well, that's it, but day off in between, and for both those games, Chicago's lost a couple at home, so who knows?
That's why they play the games.
That's it.
Puck out of play to start, and this period starts much like the first did with an early whistle. Just 6 seconds in, there'll be another face-off at center.
Well, and how many icings
Many.
in the first 5 minutes of that first period by both teams?
Nick Bonino wins the face-off. Edler and Tanev reunited here after Doug Lidster mixed up the defense pairings for the latter half of the first period. Tanev dumps the puck in from center. Higgins moves in on Ekholm. Bonino approaches him from the other side. The puck held in by Edler. Bonino tried to pass for Verbata. Puck comes all the way around to Higgins. In behind for Radim Verbata. Tried to center for Bonino. Knocked away by Ekholm. Can't get the puck by Edler, who holds it in. Now throws it in front. Swatted out of the air by Franson. And there you go, John.
Yeah.
Early icing call to start the second as we're 41 seconds in.
Nick Bonino has been very good in the face-off circle. And the Canucks in the first period were very good as a team. Bo Horvat won 6 out of 9. Nick Bonino 5 out of 7.
Henrik Sedin's on this one against Mike Ribeiro. They tie each other up. Daniel tries to bring the puck out. Henrik got a quick shot away. That went off the mask or the throat guard of Rene, I think. Another shot from Weber. Deflects wide. Canucks work to hold the puck in. But Ekholm has it with some time and space. Turns to get away from Daniel Sedin. And brings the puck ahead before backhanding it to center. Canucks try to move it back in. But here comes Ekholm. Tripped up by Henrik Sedin. There'll be a Vancouver penalty. So the Predators up 2-0. We'll get a power play here when the Canucks next pick up the puck. Rene's gone to the bench for the 6th attacker. Gostad in on the left wing, try to drag move. Puck knocked away. Daniel Sedin gets it, and his brother Henrik will head to the box.
And just after the Canucks had their best chance of the game off a face-off, Henrik Sedin. And here's the penalty. The swipe by Henrik. Misses the puck, catches the feet.
He had the best chance, too.
Oh, here it is. On Mike Ribeiro, Henrik jumps by Ribeiro and has the chance, and Pekka Rinne made himself large, got the left shoulder on it.
Predators 1 for 1 on the power play. That after going 0 for 9 in their previous 3 games. Opportunity here to increase the lead, and they set up in the Vancouver zone. Here's Franson, who had the power play goal. Puck deflects to the corner. Predators shoot it around for Forsberg. Checked by Bieksa. Bonino gets the puck, wrists it ahead, gloved down by Higgins, and knocked away from him by Roman Josi. Josi brings the puck forward. Pass to Forsberg. Down the right side, he shoots it around for Mike Fisher. Tanev tried to check him. Now Edler's after the puck. Knocked away from Edler. Matthias after, sent to the blue line. Josi to Forsberg. Here's Fisher with a quick shot. He missed the net by a good margin. Franson holds it in. It bounces past Wilson and around to Fisher. Back to Josi and in for Colin Wilson. Forsberg lets the puck go through to Franson. Here's Josi with some room. Slap shot. That went off Tanev in front of goaltender Lack. Just under a minute to go on the power play. Josi again. And looking for the tip was Fisher, but he couldn't make contact. Franson at the line. Josi moves down to the bottom of the circle. Banks one back to Mike Fisher. Watched by Matthias. Here's Franson to Philip Forsberg. Goal line feed for Wilson. Puck knocked away by Tanev, but Wilson gets it back. Up to Forsberg, back to Franson. Here's Josi, takes a look, lets it go, and blocked once more by Tanev. Predators maintain control of the puck. It's been in the Vancouver zone pretty much the whole time. Just one clear by Vancouver so far. 15 seconds to go in the power play. Josi coming off the left again, and there's another block for Tanev. He took it in the right foot. That stung a bit, but he's back up. Wilson down to Fisher. Colin Wilson. Now his shot is stopped by Lack. You know what Henrik Sedin's hoping? He can get out there and get behind this tired group of power play people for Nashville. He's into the play. He upended Colin Wilson. And Lack hangs on to the long shot from Josi and gets the whistle.
Roman Josi, a big part of the power play. And with he and Shea Weber, Weber sits back now and lets Josi run the offense. He's got 10 more points than his defense partner, who is not playing, missing his third game. And you can see the other guys, Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns, who are always down the ice. And Josi's got over 200 blocked shots, besides leading the defense corps on the Nashville Predators in scoring.
Yannick Weber backhands the puck ahead. Lyndon Vey tips it into the Nashville zone. After the penalty kill, Ronald Kennins comes out to replace Sean Matthias on this line. Dorsett played the puck in offside. Predators get it out. Kennins is onto it, skating back to his own blue line. Weber takes the pass. Now fires to Dan Hamhuis. Lead feed for Dorsett. He turns, plays one ahead. Here's Vey, and on goal, Lyndon Vey shoots. He scores through Pecorine. And Vey is on the board with his first goal in a while. It's 2-1.
Boy, what a nice play by Derek Dorsett just to chip this one by. Puck's rolling, and Pecorine doesn't like it. You could tell from his body language that he felt he should have had this one. And look at this play by Derek Dorsett. Puck's rolling. We've seen it rolling all game long, and Lyndon Vey just makes sure that he makes contact. There's a puck bouncing. Dorsett the chip, and Vey slides it through Pecorine, who never really did get set.
Lyndon Vey into double digits with his 10th of the year, his first goal in 19 games. You have to go back to Valentine's Day in Calgary to find the last time he lit the lamp. But he's got potentially a big one here at 4:04 of the second period to get Vancouver onto the board. Sedins and Burrows come out for the shift after the goal. But they can't get the puck out of it. Now they can. Burrows brings it in. And here's Henrik. Bieksa's the trailer. Takes the drop pass. Kevin Bieksa to the net. Tipped by Henrik. Or was it Burrows going to the goal? And Rene reaching back was able to stop that deflected puck. An acrobatic save. Bieksa at the right point. In around. Daniel Sedin tried to send it. And we got a penalty coming up to Henrik Sedin again.
Well, this is going to be goaltender interference, and Henrik was pushed into the crease. He doesn't like the call. And you can see Willie Desjardins. He doesn't like the call either. Here's the play. Henrik to Kevin Bieksa. He just throws it at the net, and Alex Burrows tips it. Pecorine with a good save. And look at that puck just dancing. And Rene's coming across, never gets set. Puck right through the wickets. Now here's Henrik Sedin, gets pushed in by Josi. I can understand why Henrik's upset at that one.
He's right back in the box. And the Predators get their third power play opportunity, looking to retake the 2-goal lead. 4:40 the time of the penalty. 36 seconds after Vey got the Canucks' first goal, and now an errant pass slides the length of the ice. Sedins are so close in all their statistical categories, but not in penalty minutes, John. Henrik is now 4 away from 600 in his career. Daniel has but 438. Ellis with a shot, gobbled up by Lack, and he hangs on. Lyndon Vey has a goal for the Canucks. We have a winner on Score and Win for Safeway. And Kellogg's cereal. Congratulations from Burnaby, Katrina Trask. You won a Bradley 4-burner stainless grill.
I do have an answer why Henrik's numbers would be. You play center. When you're playing center, you're always involved in the face-offs. A chance of a high stick or a hooking or something right off the face-off.
There you go.
You're not buying it?
No, I'm totally buying it. Here's a Nashville penalty coming up now. Delayed call. Bull Horvat moves in with a shot stopped by Rinne, and the whistle blows. I think it's Smith for hooking or holding. And it'll be 4-on-4 with 1:13 to go in Henrik Sedin's penalty.
And both referees had their arms up on this one.
Smith was trying to track down one of the Canucks from behind as the puck was brought out of the Vancouver zone, and he'll head to the box.
There's a grab right there. Lucas Spiza and both referees. Smith had both arms around Spiza.
5:27, the time of the holding minor. So the Predators are 1 for 3 on the power play. Canucks will have an abbreviated one, their second opportunity once Henrik Sedin's minor expires. Vancouver wins the draw. Here's Hamhuis to Tanev. Dumps one around for Nick Bonino. Pass to the blue line, Hamhuis. Wrist one in front off the leg of Josi, and Forsberg picks up the puck for the Predators. Roman Josi sends one across. Wrist shot, stop, rebound, loose, grabbed by Lack. No, he didn't. He tried to. Hamhuis winds up with the puck. The shot off the right wing was off the stick of Mike Fisher. Jannik Hansen skates through center. In with Bonino. Scores! What a shot by Hansen. A rising slapper, stick side, and the game's tied at 2.
Peter Laviolette's looking up to see if this one's tipped. Pekka Rinne, 35 to 40 feet out. Jannik Hansen just lets it rip. He's right down the middle. The defense backs off. I don't know whether that hit Josi or not. It a lot on it. Might have just caught the tip of Josi's stick. And Pekka Rinne deep in the net. Beaten cleanly.
Back to square. The Canucks score twice here in the second.
See Nick Bonino giving Jannik Hansen a little tap on the shoulder after he ripped that one in.
The goals came exactly 2 minutes apart. Vey at 4:04, Hansen at 6:04. And Vancouver stands to go onto the power play in 20 seconds. Here's Higgins, wristing one wide of the goal. Horvat goes after the puck on the far side. Carries back to the blue line. Dishes one in front. Higgins settles the puck. Passes back to Spiza. Long shot, and that one knuckled into the corner. Henrik Sedin steps out of the box. Vancouver's onto the power play for the next short while, with Smith serving the remainder of his minor. Daniel Sedin brings the puck in. Sends one across for Battle with a shot. Blocked by Franson. And the puck is hoisted all the way down. There's no penalty time up on the clock. They took it off. But Vancouver remains on the power play. Daniel Sedin down the left side. Pass to Henrik. Weber wants the feed to the right point. He gets it. Yannick Weber to Alex Edler. Throws one on goal. Knocked away by Rinne. And the puck is knocked down the ice by Gabriel Bourque. Here Henrik Sedin asking when Smith was going to be back on the ice. He's out there now as Edler stopped. And Henrik on the rebound couldn't jam it past Rinne, who's been busy here in the second. Vey got the Canucks on the board. Jannik Hansen is tied it. It's 2-2 here in Nashville.
You can become a Canucks season ticket member for as low as $59 a month after deposit. Memberships for next season available now, starting with 11 game ice packs. Visit Canucks.com/memberships for details.
I know it wasn't as warm there as it was here today. Sunny and hot in Nashville, and the sun has gone down. The Canucks, though, have come to life. 2 here in the second. Game knotted at 2. Here's Colin Wilson. Down the left wing. Tanev forced him behind the goal. Wilson still onto the puck. Leaves in the corner for Arvidsson. Now Wilson again. Goes to his knees, gets back up, passes the puck, blocked by Tanev. Edler checked before he could move it. And Wilson's onto the puck once more. Vey takes it away. He runs into Victor Arvidsson. Now a chance for Tanev to collect the puck. And he hooks one up the middle. Matthias didn't see it coming. Following up is Vey. He'll turn back inside his own blue line. Dorsett deflects the puck forward and moves in on Volchenko. Hits him in the corner. Kennens is in after the puck. Yarncroc clears it around. Chipped out by Santorelli. Stahlberg tries to force it by Bieksa. Now he moves in on Bo Horvat. Santorelli from the corner. Second tour of duty with Nashville, just like Cody Franson. Hansen trying to catch up with that puck. But Yarncroc has it skating back in his own zone. 9 minutes gone, second period, a 2-2 tie. Hansen steals the puck, but his pass for Kennens escaped the zone. Bieksa flips it back in as Stahlberg gets a piece of him. Rene grabs the puck and he'll take the whistle. Giving us a chance to check out John Garrett's Fresh Take. It's brought to you by Subway. Eat fresh.
Well, the Canucks in the first period had how many good chances? Maybe one. Here in the second, Lyndon Vey, his 10th. Pekka Rinne has that one slip through, and then this rocket. As Roman Josi, too much space, and Hansen lots of time to tee it up and beat Pekka Rinne from 40 feet out.
Dan Hamhuis assists on both goals, so he's up to 21 assists on the season, still looking for his first goal. Bonino had the first assist on the Hansen goal, and he'll take this face-off in the Nashville zone against Mike Ribeiro. Canucks win it. Verbata tried a shot. Now Hamhuis puts one towards the goal. Josi deflected that one out of play. And the face-off will again be to the left of Pekka Rinne.
See, the Predators immediately went to Radim Verbata, who is so good on the face-offs, teeing it up. Puck right back. And look at the Predators. Naturally, you're going to go to the guy that's got the 31 goals, Seth Jones, right there. No space at all.
Gaustad, one of the best in the business, 8th in the NHL in face-off percentage, won that one as he replaced one of the Predators on that face-off, and now he heads to the bench with his job done. Josi has the puck back to Smith. He chops one towards the goal. Puck winds up on the near side. Bonino gets it ahead to Verbata. And he stick handles inside his own line before bringing the puck and sending it ahead to Higgins, who's in on the right wing. Chris Higgins, Verbata to the goal line, centered, and Weber couldn't steer it home, nor could Bonino in front. Back on the Predators. Forsberg, drop pass. Josi shoots, he ripped it wide, and the puck ricochets all the way down into the Nashville zone.
That was Chris Higgins back.
Ekholm from behind his own net. Backhands the puck to center. Predators appealing for too many men on the ice as that puck hit Verbata going to the bench. Play goes on. Josi. Rink wide. Ribeiro stick handling. Drops back and Josi starts up the center with a right side pass. Puck driven in by Ekholm. Ribeiro blocks the clearing attempt. Spinning with a shot is Bork. And that's gloved by Eddie Lack, who's seen his teammates score twice here in the second, and this game is even at 2.
Get hassle-free auto insurance and more from the friendly folks at Canadian Direct Insurance.
2 goals in 2 minutes for the Vancouver Canucks here in the second period. Another winner on Storm win for Safeway and Kellogg's cereal. Michael Pearson of Fort St. John. You've won a Garmin Verb Elite HD Action Camera. Congratulations. More goals for the Canucks this year. They're giving away a lot more prizes.
Yes.
Paul Gaustad on his face-off in the Vancouver zone. And he wins another one. Shot by Beck. He ripped it wide. Jones holds the puck in. Edler skates towards it in the corner. Ahead for Daniel Sedin. He turned it over. Now he gets another chance, and this time skates the puck forward. Daniel risks one in for Burrows to go after. Alex Burrows around for Daniel Sedin. Let the puck go by towards Spiza. Now Henrik in for Daniel. He missed the puck. Burrows gets it on the right side. Into the corner for Daniel Sedin. Henrik crunched by Gaustad behind the goal. Burrows throws a check and steals the puck. Alex Burrows to Lucas Spiza. Here's Kevin Bieksa. Wide of the goal. Henrik tried to tip it from the goal line. Bork gets to the puck, slides it out. Beck racing after Bieksa. They tie each other up in the corner. Henrik Sedin back to help out. Now Spiza pokes the puck to the corner. Beck tried to put it on goal. Deflects towards Fisher. Bieksa stepped on the puck. Dorsett there to help him out. And he gets it behind the net to Spiza. Lucas Spiza back to the other side for Derek Dorsett, who tips the puck ahead but not out. Wilson gives it away to Bieksa. Lead pass, Henrik Sedin. Bieksa goes to the net. Henrik puts it on the forehand. He shoots, and that hit a body in front. Dorsett try to get it behind the goal. Falling down is Volchenkov. And the Predators slide the puck to the Vancouver line. Canucks changing while on the back check, but Hamhuis was able to get to the loose puck. He sends it ahead for Mathias. That was out of his reach, and it's an icing call against Vancouver. Well, we'll try again. I didn't do this game very much justice last night, but it's Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey. Toronto Maple Leafs, Buffalo Sabres, 4 o'clock tomorrow, Pacific on Sportsnet.
Didn't I say the Leafs were winning tonight? They were Tampa Bay at home. I'd have to check again.
Our Stephen Brunt with some pointed comments about the Leafs today. Perhaps they drew inspiration from that. Loose pocket center. Forsberg trying to get behind Hamhuis. Hamhuis took Forsberg down. He looks to the referee. No call. So he'll get back up and battle for the puck for Nashville. Big scrum in the corner to the right of Eddie Lax. 7.5 to go in the second. Vey comes up with the puck. Overskates it. Now Mathias a chance to clear. Hansen gives chase. Turns on the Jets down the left. Waiting for help. Canucks are changing. Jannik Hansen dumps one across. Tanev elects to retreat rather than go after that puck. And Kennins holds it in. Pass for Horvat. Puck comes back to him. Here's Kennins working off the right wing. Almost turned it over the blue line. Now it's picked up by Ribeiro. And he brings the puck through neutral ice. Backhands it to the corner. Edler turns around to go after the puck. Knocks it by Stallberg. Onto the stick of Tanev, who gets it outside the line. Brought back in offside by Volchenkov, pardon me, and it's an offside whistle.
Here's Philip Forsberg and Dan Hamhuis. Remember at the end of the first period, they had a little slashing fest. And Philip Forsberg, Johnny Gaudreau has caught Forsberg. He's one of 5 Predators to play every game this season, and Gaudreau has not. I think that's... Who would you have Rookie of the Year?
Man, that's a tough one.
Forsberg's been really good, but Gaudreau...
I've seen Gaudreau play more, so I might be partial to him. Higgins onto the puck. Hit the linesman Scott Cherry as he tried to throw it on goal. Verbata taking a rough ride there. He's slow to get up and isn't getting up, in fact, after Jones worked him over. Verbata's struggling to his feet now and gliding towards the Vancouver bench. Said Jones gave him a pretty rough ride from behind, and Verbata's going to need some attention.
And Verbata is bleeding.
Canucks brass won't be amused with that.
Okay, there's one slash.
It's the last shot into the dasher.
Yes, he caught his...
Not that one.
Behind.
This one.
There's the second one, yes. And no call.
Franson drives one wide of the goal. Just over 6 minutes to go in the second. Burrows trying to move the puck past Ekholm. Held in by Forsberg, puts it in front, and the puck bounced over the stick of Ribeiro as he tried to throw a deke on Eddie Lack. Here's a missed puck by Franson. Higgins moves in. Burrows shoots up high. What a chance for Burrows coming off the right wing as he took Verbata's spot on this line. Ribeiro saucers one across. Ekholm moves down. Drop pass. Forsberg fanned on it. Now he shoots it just wide. Chances at both ends. Game still tied at 2. Josi in his own zone. Being watched by Henrik Sedin. Verbata comes out. He's all right. He'll skate with the Sedins on this shift. Back in on the right wing. Gaustad over top of the goal. Josi waiting for the puck. Puts it towards the middle. Gaustad dumps it in behind the goal, out of the reach of Beck. Daniel Sedin gave it up at the blue line. Jones, Josi shoots, lacked the save, and he grabs the loose puck before the Predators could find it in front. It's picking up here in Nashville. Pretty good hockey game, all even at 2. Listen up, Canada. It's time to vote for a Rogers Cheer Like Never Before contest winner. Go to hometownhockey.com/cheer for details. Voting closes April the 4th.
Alex Burrows from Chris Higgins. On the forehand, taps the stick, and the shot just over the net. And Philip Forsberg takes a look up. We've seen the ice has had some problems here. And Forsberg had that puck just dragged behind when he went to let the shot go.
Face off in the Vancouver zone. After the scramble in the goal crease. Oh, a shot off the post. Wilson narrowly missed there. Stick side on Lack. It stays 2-2. Canucks get the puck down the ice. Volchenkov pursued by Hansen. Hansen trying to steal the puck. Wilson helping out. It slides free to the near side. Onto it is Mike Fisher. Flips one to center. Weber for the Canucks. Sends it back into Nashville territory. 4:40 to go in the second. 2-2 tie. Predators with 2 in the first. Canucks responding here in the second with goals 2 minutes apart. Edler gives it away. Jones flutters one wide of the goal. Dorsett chopped at the puck. Predators hold it in. Josi walks the line. Gives the puck away to Kennins. Canucks have numbers through center. Ronnie Kennins in. Doesn't drop it. He shoots it, and that one missed the net. Canucks want to change here, and they're changing on the back check, which is never John Garrett's favorite situation. But Predators want to change as well. They just dump the puck in, and here's Dorsett. Into the middle. Lyndon Vay, who got the Canucks rolling here in the second with his 10th of the year. Gave up the puck at the Nashville blue line. Stahlberg overskates it, but he stops and wrists it in behind the goal. Tanev lifts one into Nashville territory. Franson goes back. Rene trying to help him out. Matthias blew a tire. And the Predators work the puck ahead. Dorsett took a run at one of the Nashville players. Here's Santorelli in. Forced wide by Spiza. Plays the puck to the near corner. Stahlberg shovels it to the line. Dumped the other way by Ekholm. Franson moves down from the right point. Here's Santorelli in the corner. Gives the puck away to Matthias. He slides it to center, no further, but following up is Lucas Spiza. In with Verbata, who takes the pass. Verbata with a shot, big rebound. Higgins stopped by Rene, who stayed with the puck and was able to make 2 key saves. 3 minutes to go in the second. 2-2 tie. Eddie Lack dumps the puck around. Higgins is there. Couldn't move it out past Smith. Smith plays the puck to the end board. Spiza's there. Bieksa step into Smith, and he's slow to get up. Predators hold the puck in. Ribeiro with a rising shot, gloved by Eddie Lack. And he hangs on for the whistle.
Radim Verbata is just such a smart offensive player. He's playing shot and a rebound. He sees that Higgins is wide open. Pecorini on that side can't grab it with his catching glove. Good save, and then off the faceoff, Colin Wilson has Eddie Lack beaten, but not the post.
Shots are 18 apiece. Canucks 11 here in the second to 7 for Nashville. 2-2 tie, 2:42 to go. Face-off win. Another one for Gaustad. Josi with a long shot, blocked by Burrows, who finds the puck. Gets it to Daniel Sedin, who plays it in. Rene to the corner for Josi. Pass up the middle. Puck shoveled ahead, but knocked down by the high stick of Gabriel Bourque. And on the whistle, we'll check back in with Dan.
Well, fellas, teams have announced their Masterton nominees, and for the Vancouver Canucks, they were going to go with both twins, but they had to pick one, and it is indeed Henrik Sedin. Always a solid choice when you go with the Twins, especially considering the season they had last year.
The only two players for the Canucks to play every game this year, Henrik and Daniel.
They bounced back offensively in a big way. Gostad got high sticked as he sent the puck into the Vancouver zone. Play goes on. Daniel Sedin back for the Leafs puck. Leaves for Henrik. Daniel was hit deep in his own zone. He's just trying to get back into play as Weber moves in with a wrist shot. Blocker saved by Rinne. Seth Jones brings the puck out. Long pass ahead. Gostad towards the goal. He shoots. Blocker saved by Lack. Goalies have settled in here,
yes,
John.
Yes, they have. That was a very good save by Eddie Lack. Came out square.
They'll have issues with some of the pucks that have gone in, but are into a rhythm now. Wilson, checked by Ender. Forsberg swoops in for the puck. Weber's on him. Forsberg pulls away. Centers. Fisher off the post. And the Canucks clear the zone. Eddie Lack's been good. Eddie Lack's been lucky. And this game is still tied. There's an errant pass. And an icing call. Fans won't agree with that. But Tanev maybe just ahead of Fisher when they got to the hash marks.
Well, boy, Mike Fisher, this is off the inside of the post. And Eddie Lack thinks it's going to go in. You can see his reaction. And then he looks over his right shoulder. Here comes the puck. He's fortunate it didn't hit him in the back. It was so hard off the post.
Predators kind of win their argument on the icing. They'll face off right at center rather than in the Nashville zone after the officials conferred. Volchenkov tips the puck ahead. And it's forced in by Smith. Back goes Lucas Spiza, who's paired with Tanev on this shift. Remaining in the period. Here's Tanev, lead pass to center. Ellis intercepts and banks the puck the other way. Spiza tips it forward for Vancouver. Kennan is just digging for the puck for Vancouver. 45 seconds to go in the second period. Tanev to Kennans, who drops for Spiza. Ahead for Horvat, beaten to the puck by Volchenkov. And the Predators have a chance to break in. Stahlberg down the right wing. Victor Stahlberg shoots, he scores! And now a mix-up after the goal. Kennans is into it. But Stahlberg beating Eddie Lack over the left shoulder. And the Predators are back on top.
The Canucks had a chance at center ice just to try and chip it in, and they didn't. They ended up with a scrum at center ice. The Predators get it. And there's where the Canucks just get it in deep. And instead, Stahlberg, a left-hand shot down the right side, and beats Eddie Lack. We talked about the goaltenders getting settled in, and you can see Eddie doesn't like that one little bit.
Second of the year for Victor Stahlberg. Second goal in 31 games. And now a conversation between the Canucks and the referee. And there's a Vancouver penalty to Ronnie Kennans. After the goal, it might... No, Verbata's going to head to the bench. It is a minor penalty and a power play for Nashville.
Well, here's Kennans coming back with Stahlberg's goal, and he gives Ryan Ellis a little shot. And then the left hook, I think, is the reason he got the penalty.
Probably frustrated. The turnover in the neutral zone by that group of Vancouver players leads to the go-ahead goal with 30 seconds left in the period. And the Canucks are going to be playing from behind in period 3. It looked like they were going to get there on even terms. And they'll be short-handed to start as well as Lack gloves one last shoot it. Horn sounds. And the Nashville Predators with one of the best home records in the NHL with the lead through 40 and some more heated words on the horn.
Dan Hamhuis and Mike Fisher and Kevin Bieksa are right in the middle.
Predators skate off with the lead. A much better period for the Vancouver Canucks. Got goals from Lyndon Vey and Jannik Hansen 2 minutes apart, but the late one from Stallberg. And Nashville leads by 1, Brad, as we send it back to you.
We're back in Music City, USA, where the Predators lead the Canucks by a score of 3-2. Your scoring summaries are brought to you by Panago Pizza. Before, during, or after the game, get a fresh Panago. In the first, all Preds. Franzen's first as a Predator, and Beck made it 2-0 for the home team. In the second, the Canucks would tie things up thanks to goals by Vey and Hansen, but a late one that stings from Stallberg is how the Preds have that 1-goal lead. Earlier we mentioned that Henrik Sedin was the Canucks nominee for the Masterton, so we have some trivia for you guys. Name 3 former Canucks who won the Masterton Trophy with other teams.
I have one guess.
Yes.
Cam Neely.
Yes.
I'm going to guess after all his travails in Boston.
Yes, yeah, and all those injury problems, you're right, yes.
But I'm stumped on the others. Wow, there we go.
Al McAdam was one of the nicest guys. He was a teammate of mine in the American League when I was with the Richmond Robins and then with the Vancouver Canucks. And just one of the nicest guys from New Brunswick.
I think Pitt Martin played his 1,000th game in a Vancouver uniform.
Or should I say, Al McAdam's from PEI, isn't he? Doug McLean would just hammer me if I get Al McAdam.
That man is from Latvia, and he's in the penalty box to start the third. Canucks down a goal and down a man. Ronnie Kennens has a minute and a half to serve in his penalty that was assessed after Stallberg scored the go-ahead goal. A roughing call against Kennens. So an important early penalty kill for Vancouver here to start the third. Pekka Rinne goal to our left. Eddie Lack for the Canucks. And the Predators move the puck right in. Fisher. Edler blocked his pass. Higgins fights for the puck. Comes back towards the blue line. It's Bonino actually feeding it into the middle, and Tanev gets the puck out. Here comes Roman Josi with a drop pass to Philip Forsberg. He sends one around to the far side. Colin Wilson banks the puck to the blue line. Josi to Franson. Return pass now on to the left point. Josi, Franson. Pass to Forsberg. Wrist shot wide. Puck comes to Josi at the left point. Fisher. Into the corner. Wilson brings the puck out front. Slides it towards the goal. Didn't get anything on it. Blocked by Eddie Lack, and he covers for the whistle with 39 seconds to go in the power play.
That was a good play by Alex Edler as Colin Wilson tried to bring that puck to the front of the net. Edler stayed with him, and then at the last second, out goes the leg, and Wilson can't get much on that shot. It just slides into Eddie Lack, and no problem.
Ribeiro out for the faceoff against Bo Horvat. Puck is in skates. Squirts free to the left point. Wilson down the boards. Now here's Ribeiro dropping off. Jones, slap shot, Lack the save, and he hangs on with Bork providing the screen in front.
Boy, Ribeiro not only made the pass, but then the good pick play so that it's wide open. Here's Ribeiro, and look at the pick play. And that gives Jones a lot more time and a lot more room as Bo Horvat couldn't get by Ribeiro.
Horvat fighting to win this faceoff. But the Predators come up with the puck. Jones to Ribeiro. To the side of the net, thrown across, intercepted by Hamhuis before the pass got through to Ellis. And now here's a steal and a shorthanded breakaway. Alex Burrows in on Rinne. He beats, he scores! Alex Burrows with a shorthanded goal, and the Canucks have tied the game at 3.
Boy, what a move by Alex Burrows. You watch him, and we saw on his shootout the magic wand. This was almost as good as he faked Pekka Rinne. First he knocks down this pass. It's a hard shoot in, and now he's off. Head up. It is like a shootout. He's got so much time, and then the little quick move. Open the goalie up. Make the goalie commit first. Rinne goes, and then Alex Burrows just slides it through. What a beautiful goal that was.
The 17th career shorthanded goal for Alex Burrows. He's second in Canucks history in that category. Now 7 behind the all-time leader, Pavel Bure. A minute 23 into the third. The 6th shorthanded goal of the year for the Canucks. And now we get a whistle as Beck's stick is caught in the skate of Daniel Sedin. And on the whistle, Ronnie Kennens exits the box. feeling a whole lot better about himself as the Canucks tie the game while he was in the sin bin.
The referee just blew that down so that Beck could get the stick out.
They'll face off at center in a 3-3 tie. Burrows unassisted. And as he scored some big ones in his Canuck career. Seth Jones risks the puck in from center. Bieksa didn't get it by the forechecker. Canucks will try the near side. Puck stays in as Jones pressures Daniel Sedin. Bork races after the puck. Bieksa steps into him. Henrik Sedin double team. Puck comes free to Verbata. And he passes to Lucas Spiza. Ahead to center, Daniel Sedin sends the puck across. It got by Josi, and Henrik's after it in the corner. Turning to get away from Josi. Jones moves to check Daniel Sedin behind the net. Puck cleared to the line. Here's Tanev, and his pass to Edler escapes the zone. Edler brings it back in. Verbata was checked, and Jones feeds over to Roman Josi. He moves to center. He's hooked. There'll be a penalty to Verbata. And the Canucks will be shorthanded again for the 5th time in the hockey game.
Roman Josi full head of steam, and Radim Verbata is just on a line change. Gets the stick underneath Roman Josi, who takes advantage and forces the referee to make the call.
Canucks scored last time shorthanded. Another winner on score and win for Safeway and Kellogg's Cereal. Jack Cam of Richmond, you've won a Boulevard Marine Star watch. Predators are 1 for 4 on the power play. Maybe a little apprehensive after what happened last time. But they set up in the Vancouver zone. Josi puts one in front. Clear to the side. Forsberg keeps possession of the puck. Cuts to the high slot. Dishes off. Josi shoots. Lacked the save. Rebound loose to the side. And he stretched out the right pad to make a save on a sharp angle bid from Colin Wilson.
Eddie Lack had trouble hanging on to this shot from the point. Josi shot, and Wilson, who is right on the goal line, tried to slide it in, and Eddie just stretches out. Made sure he covered the bottom of the net.
Still 1:39 to go in the Nashville power play. Bo Horvat wins the faceoff. Hanhus takes the puck behind the net, wrists it off the glass and all the way down the ice. Josi drops. Wilson had to stop to take that pass. Now he starts up ice. Colin Wilson through center. Over the Vancouver line. Hanhus separates him from the puck. And Horvat clears it all the way down.
Good penalty killing shift for Bo Horvat. Win the draw. Kill the 15 seconds there and then get back and able to ice it on that one.
There's a minute left in the power play. Ribeiro has the puck. Skating back in his own zone, and Jones will take the puck and start out. Drops to Smith. Here's Ribeiro. Leaves, and now the puck to the blue line to Jones. Ellis. Pass deflects. Smith with a shot. Oh, he hit his teammate up high. That was Bork. Seems to be all right. Smith wrap around attempt. Lack of the right pad over, and he covers up. And now Spiza's into it at the side. After the save by Lack on the wraparound try.
Gabriel Bork is fortunate on this one. It's off the shield. Wrap around, and Eddie Lack gets that right pad over very quickly to able to cover that one up, and he's got lots of help on the post.
33 seconds to go in the Verbata penalty. Puck to the side. Tanev gets it to the near boards. Higgins giving chase. Predators try to set up, but Higgins intercepts. He's checked by Ellis. Here's Jones. And a penalty to Smith as Higgins was interfered with trying to get to the point. And that'll do it for the Nashville power play with 20 seconds to go in the Verbata minor.
We saw Mike Ribeiro earlier, just a pick play, and this time Smith is a moving pick play. There's the interference. He skates in front of Chris Higgins, and that opened up some ice for Seth Jones.
Canucks stand to go onto their third power play in 20 seconds. Nashville's now 1 for 5. Fans don't like the replay.
They didn't like that call, but I think it was a pretty obvious one. Stepped over in front of Chris Higgins.
Sedin's out for the 4-on-4 with Weber and Edler. 4/5 of the power play unit. Vrbata will join them when he steps out of the box. But right now it's Mike Fisher carrying in. Fakes the shot, lets it go. Big rebound, cleared by Weber. That'll be icing. And they'll drop the puck in the Vancouver zone with 3 seconds to go on the Vrbata penalty. So the Canucks mere seconds away from going on to the power play. Again, it's brought to you by Subway. Build your own comfort at Subway with the heartwarming ham melt and tomato basil soup combo. Subway, eat fresh.
Radim Vrbata getting ready to join that power play you talk about, John.
Jones lined up outside the blue line just in case the Canucks are able to chip the puck to center and try to spring Vrbata free. Gostad broke his stick on the faceoff. Now Vrbata's onto the ice and the Canucks are onto the power play. 0 for 2. Vrbata to Edler. He risks the puck in, gets it by Rinne. Gostad with the new stick drops one back to Josi. Clears the puck off the boards and down the ice. Minute 15 to go on the penalty to Smith. Edler drops to Henrik Sedin. Fakes one way, now finds Daniel on the left side. Pass back, here's Weber. Drags to the middle, shot blocked, gets it again. Weber works his way to the side, feeds in deep for Henrik Sedin. He missed the pass. Edler gets the puck. Shovels it back to Daniel Sedin. Here's Weber with room. Down to Henrik Sedin. Pass to Vrbata, back to Henrik. Edler's open. He passes for Daniel, who wasn't expecting it, and his stick wasn't on the ice. Daniel Sedin from the goal line. Up to Henrik. Here's Weber, one-timer block that broke the stick, but alertly gloving the puck out is Mike Fisher. 35 seconds to go on the man advantage. Second unit starts to come on as Weber circles in his own zone. He'll head to the bench after leaving the puck for Dan Hamhuis. Tanev on to replace him. Hamhuis to Higgins. Into the middle, Bonino. Nice move of the line. Here's a chance for Burrows. Centers, Higgins scores! What a goal off the rush! A power play tally, and Chris Higgins makes it 4-3.
Boy, oh boy, was that smooth. Pekka Rinne is looking on. Not much he could do on this one. Here, the Canucks make the change, go to the second group. Chris Higgins to the middle and then goes to the net. Nick Bonino with that move at the blue line opened everything up. There's the play by Bonino to Burrows to Higgins. Stick on the ice, just tips it by as Rinne had no chance. Ryan Ellis is coming back. He's not there. Chris Higgins had position on him.
Beautiful goal for Higgins, who had only to tap it in for his 12th. And the Canucks, after giving up the go-ahead goal in the final minute of the second, have tallied twice here in the third. Burrows shorthanded. Higgins on the power play. And the Canucks have their first lead. Jannik Hansen dumps the puck in from center. Rinne will grab that one. Hang on. Now he shoves Horvat, who threw on the brakes in front. Frustrated Pekka Rinne, who's given up 2 in short order here in the third. The latest with the man advantage, Chris Higgins, and the Canucks lead by 1.
This gives families with young Canucks fans 2 outings for the price of 1. Each pack includes 4 tickets to an upcoming Canucks game, plus 4 free passes to the Vancouver Aquarium, a Canucks food combo, and more. Go to Canucks.com/kidspacks for details.
Canucks with 4 of the last 5 goals in this game. Chris Higgins the latest. Another winner on Store and Win for Safeway and Kellogg's cereal. Harley Davis of Chetwynd, you've won a Blu-ray prize pack from E1. 2 shots in the period. 2 goals for the Canucks. Both on special teams. Arvidsson rips the puck into the Vancouver zone. Onto it is Bo Horvat skating the other way. Leaves for Ronalds Kennan's wrist shot. Gloved by Rinne. And he'll take another whistle in the Nashville zone.
Canucks will want that just to keep everything in front of them. Something they didn't do at the end of the second period. Willie Desjardins, you can bet, will tell his team, let's play the rest of it down at the other end.
Still lots of time left, 13 and a half minutes. Lyndon Vey wins a face-off. Reaching to hold it in was Tanev. He's checked and has to retreat as the puck is played forward by Forsberg, who broke his stick. He'll head off for a new one as Tanev plays the puck forward. Dorsett can't move it out. Edler collects for Vancouver. Flushed out by Smith. Feeds the puck near side to Mathias, who gets it to neutral ice. Flipped the other way by Ellis. And Eddie Lack carefully steers that one onto the stick of Tanev. He throws one forward. Race for the puck. And Mathias ahead of the race, so icing is waved off. Predators send the puck ahead out of the reach of Smith. And this will be icing against Nashville. We'll check in with Murph.
Guys, Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's game here in Nashville is Kellogg's cereal.
I had a cereal incident on the plane last night.
Yes, and it wasn't Frosty Flakes. Frosted Flakes. I know we used to call them Frosty Flakes, the Kellogg's favorite in the Garrett household.
Derek Jury tweeted out a picture of my cereal all over the floor of Air Canuck. It's a good thing to have happen after a win. A little over 7 minutes into the third. Radim Vrbata carries in, try to pass at the blue line, turn the puck over. Hamhuis there is a safety valve, and he bounces it deep into the Predator zone. Ellis up the middle. Here's Järnkrok. Calle Järnkrok slows on the left wing, throws one in front. Predators couldn't get a stick on it. Back comes Nick Bonino. Through center with Daniel Sedin. Burrows has come onto the ice as well. Bonino with a shot that went off a leg and wide. Burrows holds the puck in. Thrown near side to Cody Franson. His pass blocked. Back comes Daniel Sedin, wristing the puck around for Henrik, who's after in the right wing corner. Behind the net, Burrows tried to let it go for Daniel, but it hit the referee. And that allows the Predators to take possession, but they can't move it out. Ekholm, pressured by Henrik Sedin, falls down in the corner. Burrows gets the puck behind the net to Henrik. Kennins goes to the front. Henrik couldn't make the pass. And the battle for the puck continues on the end boards. The ever-vocal Mark Joinet is at it again. Henrik Sedin knocked down. As Franson ran into him, Canucks will complete their change as Hansen and Horvat are over the boards. Hansen pressuring Ekholm. That allows Horvat to steal. His backhander hit the side of the net. Here's Kennins coming up from the corner. Tried a shot. That was blocked. Bieksa slams the puck around to the near side. Spiza down from the left point. In deep for Horvat. Trying to center. Check. Here's Hansen centering. Kennins hit the post. What a chance for Ronalds Kennins. But he hit the post and stayed out. Now another shot. Rene had trouble with it, but able to stop Bo Horvat and cover up in the crease.
Oh boy, the Predators are lucky on this one. And you can see Kennins shaking his head. Good pressure by the Horvat line. They control the puck. Comes to Kennins. He's wide open off the toe of his stick. Rene was beaten completely. It's off the post and stayed out.
Predators have hit a couple of posts of the Vancouver end. This time it's Kennins' turn. It stays 4-3. And the puck sent down, no icing as it went off a Canuck player. Lack out of his net, shoots it near side. Seth Jones moves down and tips the puck to the end boards. Tanev knocks it away from Wilson. And Chris Tanev lugs the puck ahead. Nice move to get around Fisher. Pass ahead to Vey. He'll want to get it deep. Can't get it by Jones. He sends the puck forward. Here comes Wilson with Arvidsson. And that was broken up by Alex Edler, who passes to Sean Mathias, and he clears the zone. Nearing the halfway mark of the third. Canucks 4. Nashville 3. Puck rushed in deep. Sent around for Smith. Cleared from him. Held in by Ellis. In behind the goal, Mike Ribeiro. Weber trying to stay with the shifty Ribeiro, who leaves the puck in the corner for Forsberg. Bonino's on him. Forsberg working from behind the net. Bonino trying to pin him, but Forsberg pulls free, finds some room, cuts towards the front. Puck sent ahead. Vrbata had it hit him, and it's held in by Ellis. Ribeiro back for Ellis, but he moved to the middle, and the puck escapes the zone. 9:40 to go in the third. Ryan Ellis brings the puck ahead. And the Predators are offside. So the whistle blows and we'll step aside. Under half a period to go and the Canucks leading by 1 in Nashville.
Nominate someone that you think is naturally sweet and they could win a Canucks VIP experience, including 4 tickets to a game, a Pepsi Next prize pack, a Canucks jersey, and a $100 concession gift card.
I nominate you.
Oh, thank you. I mean, take a look at it. What a move by Nick Bonino, and that just opened everything up. Chris Higgins jumped by Ellis to get to the net, and a beautiful pass from Alex Burrows.
9:32 to go in the third. Face off outside the Vancouver blue line. Predators control. Seth Jones. Now Gaustad feathers the puck back to Jones. Tried to find Yossi. That was too hot to handle. He unloads the puck to center, and Gabriel Bourque has it. Puck run around to the near side. There's Taylor Beck. His goal in the first period made it 2-0 Nashville. Beck swings the puck to the far side. Yossi tried to get it back to Gaustad, but he has to chase back for the puck in his own zone. 9 minutes left in the third. Beck missed that lead feed, and Edler gets the puck across to Tannen. He goes up the boards and out. Hansen just lets it go to the Nashville blue line. And Yossi controls. Forsberg turns with the puck to Roman Yossi. Jones to Yossi. Finds some room, picking his way in, turns on the boards, turns again. Pass for Smith, broken up. Edler has the puck and he flips it ahead for Ronalds Kennens. Getting there first was Matthias Ekholm. He'll circle his net as the Predators finish a line change. Canucks doing likewise, and Ekholm with a burst of speed. Wide on Weber, leaves the puck. Smith chopped it through the crease and out the other side. Ekholm to the line, long shot blocked by Hamhuis. As Ribeiro tried to put it on goal. Here's Matthias the other way. Slap shot fought off by Rinne. Behind the play, Eddie Lack is hurt. Play whistled down. Hamhuis blocked the shot in front of his netminder, who's clutching at his head.
And Dan Hamhuis is talking to the referee now. Philip Forsberg, and you can see Willie Desjardins is shaking his head. Here's Dan Hamhuis who's going to block the shot. Here's Forsberg. And the stick of Philip Forsberg is right inside the mask of Eddie Lack.
There wasn't any violent contact, but if that
still
blade,
it's high sticking.
Blade comes anywhere near your eye through those bars, you're going to be startled at the very least, and Lack's shaken up, going to shake it off.
And you can see Mike Bernstein having a word or two with the referee, and Mark Joynet.
One more look.
And here's Philip Forsberg. He's in behind Dan Hamhuis. He's got the stick on Dan Hamhuis, but you can see the blade of his stick is right inside the mask of Eddie Lack.
Undetected. They'll stay
they're talking. They're still talking things over, but as you say, it looks like there's.
Face-off will be outside the Nashville blue line as Eddie Lack continues to get his bearings. 3 Canucks with double digits in points in this game. Hamhuis and Bonino each have 2 assists, a goal and an assist for Alex Burrows. And the Canucks looking to remain perfect on the season when they score 4 or more, but the Predators might have something to say about that. Franson, wrist shot wide, puck loose behind the goal. They try to jam it in front. Lack's down again. He gets to his feet. Now from his knees watching the play. Franson tried a shot that deflected to the corner. Weber there spins to find some room. And he lifts the puck out.
You would hear the Vancouver bench go, go, go as that long flipper had just the right weight.
Franson passes to the middle. Ekholm heads to the bench after backhanding the puck in. Bieksa didn't get much on his attempt to play the puck around. And Santorelli's after it. Daniel Sedin hit by Stallberg. Santorelli from the corner. Pass deflects to the blue line. Yossi. Skates across the blue line. Henrik Sedin took the puck away for a moment. Now Yossi has it again. His pass hit his skate, and the Canucks move the puck out. Henrik works it in. Burrows moves in on Yossi, bumps into the corner. Then Burrows fell down. Under 7 minutes to go in the third. Canucks leading 4-3. Stolberg. Checked by Horvat, who gloves the puck down and comes back with a pass to Hansen, cutting towards the goal. Hansen shoots, rebound, Kennens, and he was checked by Yarncroc as he tried to put it in on the backhand. The puck fluttered up over top of the goal. It's been a prominent third period for Ronald Kennens, who hasn't had any puck luck.
That line has played almost every shift in the offensive zone.
Bonino after the puck. Kennens gets it on the left wing. Down for Nick Bonino. Turning. Jones bodied him. Predators take the puck. Craig Smith to the Vancouver line. Tips it in behind the goal. Ekholm's moved in deep. Canucks come up with the puck. Chip it free to the side. And Bonino into the middle of Verbata, who plays it out. Under 6 minutes to go in the third. Forsberg trying to work his way through neutral ice. Over the Vancouver line. Hook. There'll be a Vancouver penalty. Delayed call. Predators have the puck. Smith shoots, stopped by Lack, and there's the whistle. The Vancouver Canucks are going to be shorthanded when we return to Nashville. Predators down a goal. Higgins heads to the box.
Safeway today, watch future Sportsnet telecasts, and you could win an all-inclusive trip for two to a Grand Bahia Principe Resort, courtesy of redtag.ca, where Canada shops for great travel deals.
There's a look at Chris Higgins in the penalty box. Philip Forsberg right down the middle, and Higgins has the stick in the hands. There's Yarncroc coming back on Ronnie Kennens. Just got his stick on it as Kennens had the backhand headed for the empty net.
Chris Higgins has the go-ahead goal in this third period, but he's in the box for two, he hopes. 6th power play for the Predators. They're 1 for 5 with 8 shots, and they'll start from their own zone as Burrows clears the puck down.
Another good face-off by Nick Bonino.
Franson had the power play goal on a long shot from the blue line. Forsberg's lost his stick. He skates back to retrieve it as the Predators move the puck in. Fisher drops back. Here's Franson. Down for Colin Wilson. Top of the circle. Wilson looking across. Still with the puck. Now to the high slot. Fisher to Franson to Wilson. Wrist shot blocked by Tanev. Loose puck. And it deflected in. Bonino tried to clear it, and it went off the Predator player and into the goal, and it's a tie game. A fluke goal. A power play tally, and it's 4-4.
Well, there's Chris Tanev. The puck's in his skates, and Nick Bonino just turns, fires it. It hits Mike Fisher, and just squeaks under Eddie Lack's pads. You can see Eddie Lack, he's down, and he starts to get up. And when he starts to get up, that just opens it up enough that that shot that hit Mike Fisher goes underneath his pad and in.
What a turn of events. The Canucks with one of the top penalty killing units in the NHL. And a chance to get the puck out. And of all the things to have happen, that's what resulted. Fisher's 19th. And it's 4-4. What a roller coaster ride.
Oh man, this has just been unbelievable. You talked about, what's that now? 2 for 6, the Nashville power play. Chris Tanev can't find it. It's in his feet. Nick Bonino does, just turns, and he's going to fire it out. I'm sure they're looking to say, well, was there a kicking motion there?
Or did it go off his hand, maybe? From that angle, it looked like it hit him in the glove. He certainly didn't have time to try to punch it, I don't think, but I thought it looked like it went off the right hand. We'll have another look.
Nick Bonino.
Oh, it is a skate. He turned it, but how could you possibly kick it that
really, it's more off his leg. Looks like on that angle.
It's going to count. I mean, there's no way he could have adjusted himself in any manner in the time it took for Bonino to wrist that puck towards him. And it's 4-4 with play resuming. 5 minutes left in the third. Loose puck in front. Hughes clears it to the side. Hansen check from behind as he brought the puck out. Here's Ribeiro. Pass for Smith. Puck deflects. Now he tries to put it in front and hit the side of the goal. Here's Hansen. Slap shot. Why not? Scored on a long one earlier. Ken Reed, Ivanka Osmak coming up after the game with Sportsnet Central. They're here with a preview.
Hey, we've got drama in Nashville. How about the drama tonight between the Senators and the Red Wings? We'll fill you in.
Yeah, and they're nervous in Winnipeg. Jets in tough against the Rangers tonight. Plus, we'll have all your post-game news from the Canucks game in Nashville. John?
We'll look forward to that. Don't know what you'll be talking about in terms of results in this hockey game. 4.5 to go, 4-4 tie. And the Canucks playing on consecutive nights, 2 tough buildings on the road. Do they shift their attention into getting something out of this game with 4:20 to go? You don't want to sit back, but
No. Manage your losses, as you always tell me.
they haven't given up much here in the third, and that was hardly a chance they provided Mike Fisher. But a fluke goal has Nashville back on even terms.
I guess that makes up for the Mike Fisher shot that hit the inside of the post and stayed out.
We got an injured Predator. Gostad is down in the neutral zone. And he's struggling to get to his feet as the Nashville trainer comes over the boards. Bieksa had words for Gostad, then Bork came over and grabbed Bieksa, and I don't know what that was about, if he thought he was embellishing or something. And the referee's just thrown somebody out of the game.
Oh, and a misconduct. I think it's Kevin Bieksa who's getting tossed.
Canucks need to keep their heads about them here.
That's Francois St. Laurent who is throwing Kevin Bieksa out.
He initially just made the motion to the dressing room, then he made the misconduct signal. But it would appear to be a game misconduct to Kevin Bieksa with 3:54 to go.
Paul Gostad is walking under his own steam to the dressing room.
Burroughs who got it? No, who was that?
There wasn't much contact, although Gostad wasn't looking at him.
Away from the puck, and it looked like they were looking their separate ways as they skated into each other in the neutral zone.
Well, with 3:54 left, the Canucks will be down to 5 defensemen. Here's another look at it. Here's Gostad. He just turns and he runs into Alex Burrows.
Okay, I don't think Burroughs was completely unsuspecting there.
No.
I think he initiated some contact there. Interference at the least, wouldn't you say? And the Canucks get away with one.
Alex
Burrows
is getting tossed.
Now, did the linesman come in and help make a call here? This could be a power play. If it's not just chirping at the officials, if it's in fact for the hit in the neutral zone, and that's what Willie Desjardins is having explained to him right now, this could be a power play. And with 3:54 to go, it could be a major penalty, John, if they send him to the room.
Well, and you can see there was no call from either official because the Canucks continued on. They carried the puck all the way down.
Maybe the linesman got involved. Wow. Two for interference and a game misconduct. Bieksa's out of the game too. He's just gone down the tunnel. So Bieksa and Burroughs are both out of the game. And somebody, after the fact, I'm not going to argue with the call, the interference it was. And the Canucks are shorthanded in a 4-4 game, having just surrendered a power play goal.
I'm going to have to get my rule book out to see if the linesmen make that call, whether it has to be a game misconduct. Because neither referee made that call.
You don't see a minor in a game misconduct. You wonder if they assessed the minor. Burroughs had something to say about it, and that resulted in the game misconduct. We won't know until after. But the Canucks are going to face a stiff test here. Fans are on their feet. Tanev gets the puck. Wilson trying to check him, and Chris Tanev calmly slides it up the middle and down the ice. Burrows had a short-handed goal earlier this period. He can only watch in the dressing room along with Kevin Bieksa as the Predators move to center, and Wilson flips the puck in. Edler goes back, wrists it around. Franson can't hold it in, and the Predators have to start from their own zone once more. Okay, it is a major penalty. They announced 2 minutes for interference, but it's a 5-minute penalty up there, as you can see on your screen. Sorry for being late to the party. Now, they definitely announced a 2-minute minor, but it's a 5-minute major. Josi with a shot blocked in front. And the Predators are going to finish this game on the power play, barring a penalty of their own. Here's Forsberg. Pass comes to Wilson behind the net. Spiza takes him down. Fisher's after the puck. Hamhuis had it momentarily. Now here's Franson towards the goal. Right pad save, loose puck. And it winds up in the corner. Hansen hammers it up the boards, not out. Predators with numbers on the near side. Forsberg ripped it wide. Rebound. Lack came across and stopped Wilson. And he covers up for the whistle. And now Hansen knocks the Predator player down rather easily. That was Wilson moments after he was foiled by Eddie Lack.
Eddie Lack doing his best. Philip Forsberg shot off the, and you can see Eddie Lack immediately gets that left foot planted so he can slide over off the boards, plant the left foot so he can slide over and get square to Colin Wilson.
After the whistle, the PA announcer came on and clarified the Burrows situation, that it was indeed a major penalty, and that's what threw us for a loop. Here's Jones off the draw, wrist shot, blocker saved by Lack. Predators pushing for the go-ahead goal, but the puck goes out of play, and the face-off will come outside the line with 2:32 left in regulation, and the Canucks trying to will this game into overtime.
And obviously the power play, should the Canucks get it to overtime, will continue in the overtime.
It would continue for just over a minute, and that would be 4-on-3. Edler clears the zone. Clock moving ever so slowly for anybody wishing for Vancouver to get something out of this game. Edler clears again. And the Canucks, big pile up in the Vancouver zone. Smith and Edler just untangling now. Edler heads to the bench. Here's Ellis in on the right wing. Shoots the puck around. Weber goes after it. Bobbled it. Jones, left point. Cross to Ellis. 2 minutes to go. Ellis with a slap shot, and that hit a skate in front. Predators maintain control. Ellis at the right point. Down the boards. Craig Smith has the puck. Mike Ribeiro to the blue line. Jones. Other side. One-timer. Deflected wide of the goal. Puck ricochets to Ribeiro. Minute 40 to go. There's a shot by Smith. Stopped by Lack. Higgins gets the loose puck. And on the backhand, he sends it all the way down the ice.
All four penalty killers jump over.
Minute 25 to go. Fans coming to their feet again. Colin Wilson. Pass to the side. Puck shot in. Lack is going to grab it at the side. There'll be a face-off in the Vancouver zone with 1:17 to go. Be still, Hart. Be still. We'll be in Chicago on Thursday. The Canucks and the Blackhawks in Game 3 of this 4-game road trip. Sportsnet Pacific, the place to catch all the action. A 5 o'clock start from the Windy City. Will the Canucks be on a 2-game winning streak? Trying to hold on here, and a big face-off win for the 19-year-old Bo Horvat, allowing Dan Hamhuis to send the puck down the ice. Here's Roman Josi. Ahead to Forsberg. In slowly, and he shoots the puck around. Final minute, third period. 4-4 tie. Predators on the power play. And here's Forsberg trying to settle the puck. Knocked away. Horvat can't clear. Franson to Josi. Hansen's on him. Now Tanev trying to come up with the puck, but the Predators get it to the near side. Forsberg back to Franson. Philip Forsberg, under 40 seconds to go. Forsberg down low, puck thrown in front. Chance for Josi. He ripped it wide. Puck ricochets out of play. And the face-off will stay in the Vancouver zone with 30 seconds to go.
Boy, Roman Josi, what a chance he had. And you see 1-goal games. Obviously, this one's going to be a 1-goal game.
Hard to say anybody has an edge there, but we'll give the Predators the edge because they have the extra skater. 29.9 to go. Big face-off here. Puck in skates. Bonino plays to the side. Shot behind the goal. Intercepted by Edler. And he's able to send the puck all the way down. One last rush for Nashville. 15 seconds to go. Bourque down the left. Tried to leave the puck. Now it comes to Smith. He turns, he shoots like the save. Oh, the rebound came out the near side. Close call. Here's Ellis in front. Chance. Lack the save. And time expires. What a chance for Seth Jones. But this game is going to overtime.
Well, Eddie Lack, he has had a tough game. There's no doubt about that. And yet, at the end, he is the hero on the last 4 minutes of penalty kill. Stop, rebound, right out the other side. And here's a feather pass in. Look at Eddie Lack again, that push off with the left skate to come across, and Seth Jones just couldn't make it go.
Canucks and the Predators going to overtime. Canucks last played an overtime game on the weekend against the Dallas Stars, and wouldn't you know it was a defenseman ending it in extra time.
Here, look at the room, and that one just beats Eddie Lack.
John Klingberg, the final rookie. Canucks have lost 3 times in overtime this year, and all 3 times it's been a defenseman scoring the goal. Erik Karlsson, Cam Fowler, John Klingberg. And then you look at Nashville. The Predators are 8-3 in overtime, and so many of their goals from defensemen. Ekholm has one, Josi has one, Weber has one.
Well, you can see Glenn Gulletson on the Canuck bench, and there's Phil Housley on the Predators bench talking the 4-on-3 power play. You don't practice a whole lot of it in the penalty kill for the Canucks. Gully is explaining it to the guys what he wants done. 1:06 left on the Alex Burrows major.
Canucks were leading. Predators were on the power play, and a weird one tied this game.
Chris Tanev blocks the shot, and Nick Bonino, who has had a very strong game, just tried to turn and wire it out. It hits Mike Fisher, and there's Burrows on Gostad.
Alex Burrows already suspended once this year for a hit in a game against Montreal. And with Gostad knocked down and knocked out of the game at that point, Burrows assessed a 5-minute major. He may be facing something further as well. Right now, though, his team is facing a 4-on-3 power play. And Daniel Sedin will probably have to wait to try to add to that total.
I'm looking at my rule book, and I have the game misconduct, the major penalty, rule 56.4 on Alex Burrows, but it's called by the referee. And we did not see a referee make that call.
They can get help. They can get counsel. Predators have had 8 shots on this power play, John.
I'm sure Rob Schick will be awaiting our call after the game.
Of utmost importance right now is the Canucks have secured a single point. They're up to 94. They will try to get a second one, but first they're going to have to try to defend. As the Predators with the extra man move the puck in, Josi turning at the left point, checked, diving out was Bonino, couldn't clear the puck, but Ellis just holds it in. A little under a minute to go on the man advantage. Ribeiro, Josi, Ellis, Josi, Ellis, Josi, shoots, glove saved by Lack, as he followed that puck from side to side and stayed right with it.
Well, that's the problem when you have the 2 defensemen trying to open up space. You never get a screen. They go back and forth. There's no screen. And so Eddie Lack has that shot. You can see once they start throwing it back and forth, the screen goes side to side. And Eddie has no problem grabbing that one.
Predators up to 37 shots, 17 of them since the end of the second period. 18 of their 37 shots have come on the power play. Josi moves in. Passes across to Ribeiro. Under 30 seconds to go in the power play. Ribeiro to Josi. Ribeiro again as they collapse the Canucks down. Here's Ellis to Josi. Forsberg's the other member of the power play, and he gets the puck. carries back, cuts to the high slot. Forsberg shoots, blocked by Spiza. And the puck goes out of play with 11 seconds to go in the Burroughs Major. That's being served by Radim Vrbata.
Boy, that's a good play by the Canuck penalty killers. You can see their triangle just rotate around, and Lucas Spiza ends up being the top of the triangle, and he's able to get his stick on that shot from Forsberg.
Canucks without Burroughs, a key penalty killer. Without Kevin Bieksa, another penalty killer. Both were thrown out of the game at the same moment. Henrik Sedin comes out along with Edler and Weber. Vrbata standing at the box, waiting to come on, and Weber able to clear the zone, and the Canucks are going to get back to full strength in a couple of seconds. 5 minutes they kill. The last minute and change, 4-on-3, and they're back to full strength, but the Predators have the puck. Edler steps into Yossi. Weber skating after the puck. He's checked. Now it's sent towards the blue line, but nobody there, and the puck slides down into the Nashville zone. Daniel Sedin is onto the ice along with Bo Horvat. Hamhuis and Tanev for the Canucks. Tanev has a overtime goal this year. Daniel Sedin has 3 of them. Hamhuis trying to settle the puck. He's pressured by Fisher. Mike Fisher credited with the game-time goal. Now Horvat collects the puck. Stops to get away from the pressure. Passes to Tanev, who retreats to his own blue line. Pass to Dan Hamhuis. Daniel wants it on the left side. He gets it. Daniel Sedin through for Hamhuis. Forsberg intercepts that, and now the Canucks are retreating. Forsberg trying to get around Daniel Sedin. One hand on the stick. Hamhuis couldn't knock the puck from Forsberg. Wow, what a display! Shot didn't get through. Daniel Sedin starts back. Bad pass. Broken up by Jones, and Daniel has to stay out there. Jones forces the puck deep. Now wrestles Hamhuis in the corner. Play goes on. Here comes Bonino. Spiza going to the net. Bonino tried to make a move to the middle. Hamhuis still tied up with Jones way behind the play. Jones trying to vacate the zone, and finally does as the puck is passed back to Roman Josi. The ex-Predator Dan Hamhuis getting no love at the moment as he heads to the bench. Here's Craig Smith. Wristing one wide. Puck comes right in front. Smith's on with backhander stopped by Lack. And Vrbata skates out for Vancouver. Smith in pursuit. Strips him of the puck. Weber's there, and he shovels it to Alex Edler. 2 minutes to go in overtime. Weber to the Nashville line with a slap shot. That's off the mark. Edler gets the puck on the left side. Played away from him. And Smith backhands it to center where Weber is waiting. Vrbata with a touch pass to Henrik Sedin. Back to Vrbata. He moves in. Finds Henrik. Open in front is Tanev, but the pass was intercepted, and the puck is thrown ahead to Ekholm. He stops inside the line, sends the puck to the far corner. Ellis is in deep on Tanev. Works it to Ribeiro. Centering feed. Fisher tried to drag it around, and Henrik Sedin takes the puck away. Hansen trying to go after the lead pass. He was impeded by Ellis. Henrik Sedin trying to find some room on the left wing. Turning with the puck. Passes back to Tanev. Hansen goes to the front. Tanev walks the line. Passes to Jannik Hansen. He'll skate the other way. Fisher's on him. Hansen turning. Drops to Tanev. Final minute of overtime. Tanev to Hansen. Finds some room. Cuts in front. And his stick lifted as he tried to shoot. Here's Henrik Sedin. Tried to center for Spiza, and the pass never got through. Predators lose the puck. Sean Mathias is onto it. Knocked away from him, and Fisher passes to the side. Puck thrown near side for Ekholm, now picked up by Philip Forsberg. He bounces one to the Vancouver line, and Edler takes control. Alex Edler, hard pass for Hamhuis. Horvat trying to reach for the puck. Predators send it the other way. And this is going to result in a face-off in the Nashville zone as icing is the call against the Predators.
Here's Jannik Hansen. Has his stick lifted, but Henrik Sedin, and I'm surprised he didn't try and shoot that, John. He tried to feed it across to Lucas Spiza. And here's Seth Jones and Dan Hamhuis, and
this went on forever.
Who's holding who?
Nashville's called timeout after the icing. And so each team an extra 30 seconds to strategize. Willie has the whiteboard out.
It's amazing, Johnny, you talk about back-to-back emotional games, and the Canucks in the first period did not look very good. When it was 2-0, you would have said, okay, this one's done. And yet they bounced back, and then to kill that major penalty in the last 4 minutes and into overtime, the 4-on-3, you just admire the fact that they had that reserve, the penalty killers of energy. And without Kevin Bieksa, without Alex Burrows, they were able to get the job done.
Henrik Sedin, one of the best in situations like this, as you saw, and he's out there with Daniel. Face off in the Nashville zone. 22.2 to go. And Henrik trying to even the face-off battle just a little bit. Canucks, chance to win possession. Henrik into the corner for Daniel. Up the boards, Henrik Sedin shields the puck away from Josi. Leaves it for Weber. Up the boards, Daniel. Tried to find Henrik, picked off. Forsberg, lead pass for Ribeiro was out of his reach. 5 seconds left. Ribeiro trying to set up a late chance, and here it comes from Jones over top of the goal, and this game will go to a shootout. Eddie Lack under siege in the last 4 minutes of regulation. Early parts of overtime. But he and Pekka Rinne are going to go up against each other in a shootout.
Well, a game like this one for Eddie Lack, where you know you don't have your good stuff. You get a couple posts and you still have one bounce in off the guy's shin pad and go underneath your pad that you moved just for a split second. And yet the penalty killing, he was the key.
Canucks trying to come from 2-0 down to win this game. They came from 2-0 down in Arizona, got it to a shootout, but couldn't beat the Coyotes.
And there's Mike Smith and Chris Higgins. The backhand, he had a little room over top of the crossbar.
After all that, the shots in overtime were only 2-0 for the Predators. Predators, home team, get the option. They elect to shoot first. And Mike Santorelli, the ex-Canuck, is going to open it up. Very good at this discipline. He's in on Lack. And Lack stayed right with him. Santorelli didn't have anything to shoot at. And he's now 4 for 7 on the season.
Mike Santorelli backing away as Eddie Lack stayed, waited, and Santorelli almost on the goal line before he shot that one.
Nick Bonino will shoot first for Vancouver against Pekka Rinne. Bonino's 2 for 5. Rinne's record career just 1 above 500 in shootouts. Out to meet Bonino. Scores!
Oh, man. That little flick of the wrist right at the last minute, able to get it up and over the pad of Pekka Rinne. I thought Rinne played it pretty well, and Nick Bonino almost stops, and then the quick flick. And Rinne's got the pad down, and Bonino up and over.
Philip Forsberg, 3 for 7 this season. Eddie Lack has now stopped 8 of 12. Forsberg in from the right, and Lack shut the door. And the Canucks are on the verge of a win here in round 2 of the shootout.
And there's Forsberg, and you don't think Eddie feels good about that? It was Forsberg's stick that went through his mask.
Who else would you want shooting right now? Radim Vrbata, one of the all-time leaders, and he's in from the left, trying to end the game. Vrbata scores!
Man.
The Canucks bend late. Eddie Lack keeps them in it. And the Canucks win it in a shootout. They're 2 for 2 to start this tough trip through the Central.
We saw Nick Bonino with his quick hands in tight. How about Radim Vrbata? The quick backhand flip. And just inside the post, up high enough so Rinne's pad's not going to get it. And he beats him. It's off the post and in. Look at Vrbata. Quick. Good speed. Back the goalie up. Make sure.
4-1 they win in St. Louis. This one they take in a shootout 5-4. The Canucks are up to 95 points with 5 games to go, and they're headed to Chicago.
Canucks Hot. Brought to you by Subway. Build your own comfort at Subway with a heartwarming ham melt and tomato basil soup combo. Subway, eat fresh.
I'm not going to lie, Mr. Garrett did a lot of rewrites on this.
Well, I did. Eddie Lack did not have a great game, but he had a great end to the game. And he's the reason. Shootout, penalty kill, he's a third star. Mike Fisher, a dominant performance by the Predator, and Alex Burrows, who didn't play very well in the first period, but his last 40 minutes, well, I should say his last 36 minutes before he got thrown out, he's first star.
A controversial choice. The Vancouver Canucks lost 2 straight at home before heading out on this trip. It is a daunting trip through 4 of the tougher buildings to play in the entire Western Conference. Some of the teams are battling to try to make the playoffs, but they're off to a rollicking start. A win in St. Louis, a win in Nashville, and we'll talk to you Thursday from Chicago. Sportsnet Central's next.